Welcome to this episode of Pondering Play and Therapy with me, Julie, in South London, with a special guest today, Mostak. And Mostak, you are in Dhaka in Bangladesh, I believe.
Yes.
And Mostak, you and I share something in common, although I'm in the UK and you're in Bangladesh. We share a qualification. Would you like to tell us a little bit about how come you and I have the same qualification, how that came about, and the sort of other qualifications you have and your work in Bangladesh?
Okay. So thank you, Julie, for having me. And right now, as you have mentioned earlier, that there's a time difference, and we are in a different part of the world. You are from London, and I'm from Dhaka, Bangladesh. But we are also having or similar experience, and that is, we are connected through the world of play therapy. So we you are a professional play therapist, and I'm also a play therapist, and we have a same body that under through which we are being supervised. It's called like the education of a play therapist. So we are all connected, though we have joined online and we are from different part of the world, but we like to play with children. We like to work with children, and that's the common thing. And I graduated in psychology from Dhaka University. Then I did my master's in educational psychology and also MPhil in educational psychology. Then after a few years, I went to Roehampton University in UK to complete my master's in play therapy. And after that, when I returned, now I'm working as a certified play therapist or international professional play therapist.
And we think, well, in fact, we know that you are the only BAPT play therapist in Bangladesh.
Yes.
So far.
That's true. Yes.
So
that's
it's
true.
a lovely thought, Mostak, that you and I have trained in the same room. That same room in Roehampton University on the second floor, where hundreds and hundreds of other play therapists have trained. But we have trained in the same room. And that's where I'm still training the next generations of students, is in that same room. I don't think that room has changed for about 20 years, which means we've touched the same toys. We've possibly dressed up in the same costumes. We've gone into the same drawers for our paper and been trained in that same modality. So I wanted to start off today by asking, putting aside our training, putting aside that for a moment, the therapy part, but thinking about you, thinking about the young you, the little you, however far back you want to go. And this is a question we're asking all of our guests. What was play for you as a child, as a teenager? What was the feeling towards play when you were little?
Okay, so play was a fun part of me. So it was like an escape for me from not doing a study, because in our country, it was not like a rule, but I think those who have grown up in 80s or 90s, we all have the similar experience. In the afternoon, there will be no study. So either we'll go outside or we'll go on the top of the roof, or it is the time for us to play. And after the evening, we have to come back to home, and then we have to study till 8 or 9 p.m. So we were very lucky that we could play a lots of things like running, cricket, football. So, as I'm saying, mostly the physical play. But during that time, there was a load shedding in our country. So there is a power cut. So when there is a power cut or load shedding during that time, that was also a fun part of us, because we could utilize that. Okay, now there is load shedding or power cut. So now I have some time, so I can play. So I can play with my cousins, and I could also play with my family members. So we actually really enjoyed that time when we were young, and we were very lucky that we didn't have the distraction of mobile phone. So that's why we could utilize our time properly. We feel bored, and then we used to create new games or new kind of play. Now sometimes if we think about that, it seems like, oh, there is no meaning. Like we used to play Monopoly, we didn't understand the rules, but we used to make the rule by us, that okay, this will happen and that will happen. So that was a really wonderful time for us. And I'm also very lucky that I born in 90s, so I got get the chance to play a lot during my childhood.
And you mentioned there, yeah, making up the rules of Monopoly, which is quite a complex game for a child, but just getting the board out and the pieces out and creating your own game. I really resonate with that. And where were the grown-ups in this?
Yeah, that time, I mean, I will say grown up didn't join so much, but yes, they were also there. So it's like a secure parent. I mean, if we think about like attachment or when we discuss about child and parents, so it seems like our parents were there in front of us. They were watching that we were playing by us. Sometimes there is a fight, there is a negotiation between the playmates or something like that. Sometimes we used to solve by us. Sometimes, yes, if we couldn't do that, then our parents used to help us. So our parents were there. Sometimes they were not involved, maybe uninvolved, but their presence was there.
So they were like the containment to the play. They were
Yes,
there. Like sometimes we talk about the circle of security. It's almost like those big safe hands around you and your cousins and your friends for your play. They weren't in the play, but they were there if you needed them.
needed, yes. So they were
Yeah.
there, yes.
And as a teenager?
As a teenager, I think then our play has quite changed. Then we started playing cricket or football. And during that time, the involvement of parents was gradually, I mean, less. They were busy with their own words. And that time we used to play by ourselves. And if there is a problem, or if there is anything that then we used to solve by us. And that time our parents was not there so much. They were busy with their own work.
So they withdrew more and left you to resolve things yourself.
Yes,
And it's interesting because then cricket, football, they have generic rules. And I guess
yes,
it's really important then to keep to those rules.
true.
Yeah. And gender, boys, girls in together, or did you play
Yes,
separately?
when we were child, that time there is no, I mean, such thing of like, oh, she's a girl or she's a boy. We didn't have that kind of thing in our childhood. We used to play together, so there is no differences in in terms of gender. So our sisters or cousin sisters, so they also used to join with us, and we used to play together, and we used to do fun together. So there is no any kind of like gender issues during that time.
We had a chat a couple of weeks ago, and you were talking about where play is in your life now as an adult, as a worker. You work at the university, you teach, and you also see clients. But for you, Mostak, when you're not working, or maybe within your working relationships with the other adults, does playfulness still exist for you?
Yes, if I say definitely play is always there with me, because otherwise I sometimes, I mean, due to heavy workload, I also feel like tired. So it seems to me like play becomes a part as a self-care or me time for me. So maybe I'm not playing as any kind of game or such kind of thing, but maybe when I'm listening to music or when I'm spending time in the garden with my plants, it seems to me I'm also playing with them. I'm also talking with them, and I'm also enjoying the time with them. Yes, as you have mentioned, the dimension or the category of play are being changed gradually. As you have asked me that, yes, how was it in my childhood? And it seems to me after, as you have mentioned, so it seems to me now the pattern is changed. So
Mm.
it seems like when I'm by myself, maybe when I'm going to office by the bus, so that is also maybe a playful time for me when I'm reflecting or when I'm listening a podcast or music, or that is also me time. And I will say that is also playful time for me.
Mm. And I love that image of you sort of playing with your plants and talking to your plants.
Yes.
I've been out in my garden today just picking things. I was growing courgettes. I'm not a great gardener, but I get such pleasure out of seeing this beautiful orange flower. And then that withers, and then this huge courgette appears, and then I can just pick it and eat it. And that I've never thought of that as playing, but I'm with you in that I do talk to my plants. I say good night to them, I say good morning to them, I water them, I make sure I touch them. Whether that makes them grow better or not, I don't
Yes,
know.
and yes, it seems, and I mean, they also become an attachment or like the transitional object for us. So, and we love to spend time with them.
And I like to think that they love to spend time with me. Here she comes. Will I get some water? Will I get a bit of pruning?
Yes.
And yeah, the joy that, the huge privilege of having a bit of land, tiny, it's a tiny little garden, but that I really recognize that that's not something that everybody has access to. But the privilege of caring for a bit of land and the care I put into that and the care you put into your piece as well is self-care for myself and yourself, but also for
Yes,
something bigger than us.
yes, it's like the co-creation. I mean, I'm also doing it in the plants. They're also maybe growing. So it's like the co-creation of play or togetherness. Yes.
Mm. Yeah, I'm going to think about that as I go into my garden to water it later on. Thank you very much for that thought. I won't be able to send you a courgette, but you can have the thought is there. And you mentioned earlier on something about, you feel fortunate to have been born in the 90s, to have been a child in the 90s, because you didn't have a mobile phone. Tell me about children play Bangladesh now.
Yes. Yes. Uh, Thinking about the scenario, that's why I said that I'm very fortunate that I was in 90s, and that time we didn't have any mobile phone or any kind of distraction. And that time our parents used to say it like this: yes, if you would get, if you can done well in O level or A level, then you will have the mobile phone. There was an expectation. But nowadays, I mean, it seems when they are very young, maybe sometimes they are 2 years old, 3 years old, or sometimes their parents are saying they're very active and smart. They can use the mobile phone, but I can't do it properly. So they're thinking it is part of smartness. But nowadays, children's, they are busy with the mobile phone. I just read a meme on Facebook few days ago. So I will say it's also quite same for our country. So the mother found the boy was playing a tab in the house, in the room. So the mother said, "Go outside and play." And after half an hour, mother found the boy is sitting outside but playing with the tab, because when the mother said go outside and play, actually the mother said go outside and do physical play. But for that children, that child doesn't understand what is meant by physical play or going outside and play. He only knows that playing with mobile phone or playing with tab. So nowadays, most of the children, they are, I will say, addicted towards the mobile phone. And so I will say that is the scenario in our country. And it's not only in the city, it's also in the villages. Nowadays, people have mobile phone, and it's very easy to get a mobile phone. And we all, adults are also very busy with mobile phone or the technology. There are definitely advantages. Like, for example, now we can do the podcast very easily with by using the technology. But beside that, there are also some demerits for that, and children are suffering because they do not know how to play without any object, or they do not understand that, I will say, the term free play. And because they only say, okay, I'm feeling bored, mom, can you give me the mobile phone? Or when the mom is not there, they will go to the father, can you give me the mobile phone? Or then they will try to manage the grandparents. So it's the scenario nowadays in our country.
So you've seen that huge shift for, you know, a mobile phone being seen as a sign of smartness in
Yes.
the family. And I know from conversations we've had before about how education, academics, studying is hugely valued in your family and,
Yes.
and in the wider culture of your country. And the mobile phone is associated with that. So not
Yes,
so much about status, but about actually what access it gives you to education and academics.
Yes, I mean, as you have mentioned, that I will say it's the common scenario in the South Asian country, Bangladesh, India, Pakistan, China, or other countries. So our parents, they think that, okay, yeah, you have to do very well. Either you will have to become a doctor or an engineer, or I mean, or otherwise there are no profession. So they just force them to do study well, properly, or something like that. So actually they are also not getting time. It's also true that children are also not getting time after coming from school. Maybe they're just going for a tuition or for coaching, or they're just maybe finishing their lunch in the bus or in the car, because they have to go to another teacher or something like that. So they're also not getting chance to play, I mean, during the afternoon, which we used to get. So that is another reason that because parents want you need to get A plus or 90 plus in your exam, then yeah, it's fine. Or your neighbors, look at the neighbor, they are doing well. So I mean, that is also common in our country.
So that drive to be a doctor, to be an engineer, to have a highly valued profession,
Yes.
is having the impact of lessening the amount of time a child can have to play, because they're being asked to study right through what was your old playtime when you were small. You got that play period in the afternoon, but you're seeing that diminishing. And of course, you've ended up in a career that has the word play in it and psychologist in it. What did your parents, grandparents, family members think of that? Because you haven't become a doctor, you haven't become an engineer.
Yes. Okay. So that's funny. I mean, like when I told everyone that I'm going to do the psychology course, my uncle, they used to say, oh, it's a lipstick subject. Lipstick subject means yes, it's a subject for girls. So girls will do psychology course. Men, they will go for like BBA, MBA, or business or banking. So psychology is the subject for girls. So why are you choosing to do psychology? You will not be able to earn money. Yes, that was their perception. I mean, like 15 years ago. But I will say after the COVID, after the pandemic, and after the like Rohingya influx in our country, nowadays people are understanding the term psychology. So once they used to make fun of the word, oh, psychology. So he's a mad person, or he can say anything by seeing the face. So now their perceptions are being changed, and now they're asking, yes, if I can get any help, or can you give me some suggestion or something like that, or any tips. So day by day, gradually, I will say, due to the effect of the pandemic, people are now understanding the importance of having a positive mental health, because lots of people died during the pandemic, and many people in our country and in other country, so they also did suicide due to not having any proper job. I mean, after the post-pandemic or something like that. So I will say that is also maybe an impact, that now people are understanding the importance of psychologist, or I will say play therapy, something like that. Because I know when I was when I mean I told everyone that I'm going for I mean I'm joining play therapy course. So they said, what? Play therapy course? So you will just play. So how can it will be a course? I mean, so is it for the children who cannot speak properly? So you will play with them. So uh, what is mean by play therapy? But day by day, the situations are being changed. And I like to mention here, in our country, like earlier, parents used to come to me as a client with their children. So they used to say, see, my child is only playing. And that is their complaint, because my child is only playing. He's not studying properly. But I mean, earlier they didn't used to understand that children's language is play, and they will play, and through play they will learn, through play they will heal. But earlier parents used to say playing is a wastage of time.
And so have you seen that shift? Because could you say a little bit about how your week looks work-wise? Because you've got several hats that you wear during the week. And then I'd like to take us a little bit into actually what happens with the parents and the children. But if you could just give us the context of what your working week looks like.
Okay, so right now I'm working as a lecturer and play therapist in a university. So I'm basically working there 5 days, and so I have another 2 days weekend where I'm doing. I mean, where I'm working as a psychologist or a play therapist, and basically Friday and Saturday is a holiday or weekend in our country. So I'm utilizing those Friday and Saturday for my clients, for doing play therapy and for working with children and parents. And other 5 days, I'm quite busy with taking classes, or sometimes making contents for different type of projects. So it's also a challenging thing for me, because as you have mentioned that earlier, that I am the only one play therapist. So if I just do play therapy with children, that will be a tough for me in terms of profession, because still people are not much aware of taking play therapy. Nowadays, counseling has become a common thing in our country. So adults are coming and spending their money for doing the counseling. But for play therapy in our country, parents have to spend money for their children. So that's why, like after few sessions, they say, oh, I mean, I have to give so much money or something like that. So parents want a quick solution for their children. So my child is not behaving nicely, or my child is not studying properly, do something. So it's like a magic for them. But definitely it's not for everyone. The situations are being changed now. Earlier in our country, I mean, we used to live in an extended family or joint family. So I will say, which is quite different from the European life. But nowadays, as everyone is being busy, nowadays a father and mother, they are also working to handle the monetary thing. That's why everyone is busy nowadays. The problems are also being arise. So that's why parents are also willing to take therapy
For themselves, to take
Yes.
therapy for themselves.
for
Yeah.
themselves. But for the children, yes, I mean, they're spending money, but as in our country, there is no like insurance policy, or there is no such thing like the government will pay. So they have to pay their own therapy bill. So that's why sometimes maybe they're willing to do that, but they might not have enough money to continue for doing the sessions.
Mm. That's it, because the training that you and I have done, the BAPT play therapy training in England, we think of sort of 10 to 15 sessions as being a minimum. And in the placements that you've done, 10 or 12
30.
was the minimum. And then the second placement, you go up to 30. And certainly a lot of the families I work with, the children I work with, I always say, let's start with 12, see where we go. And then quite often we find ourselves doing 20, sometimes 30. Occasionally there's a client that I see for 2, 3, 4 years, and we get over 100 sessions, because the therapy evolves as the child is growing and reaching puberty, moving into adolescence. Then, the therapy can take them through all those stages. But what you're describing then, I'm wondering how that is as the therapist, because the parent is paying directly for it and they want something, in inverted commas, to be fixed quickly. And after 2 or 3 sessions of play therapy, in the style we do it, the child-centered play therapy, there's unlikely to be any noticeable shift. In fact, there could well be a deterioration. So I'm
Yes, I mean,
wondering,
that's
how
the
does that
challenging thing.
work with your clients? Do you
Yes.
have anybody who stays beyond 2 or 3 sessions?
Yes, that's the challenging thing. When I work with my supervisor, as I took supervision, online supervision from UK for doing the play therapy here. So I also struggle in finding clients. So that is my main biggest problem in my country. So that's why I'm doing lots of like orientation on play therapy training, or like foundation course on play therapy, so that people will understand, the teacher will understand, or academician, they will understand. So then I will get the referral from the parents or from the teacher. So I will say day by day it's changing. Earlier it was very tough. It was like 4 or 5 clients, but they're just taking 1 or 2 sessions. But as you have mentioned, it's quite difficult, because then I mean, sometimes it might take 6 to 8 sessions for doing a proper, what should I say, to understand the child properly, or to make the rapport. Sometimes it takes 5 to 6 sessions. So that was a very challenging thing for me. But yes, luckily now I'm working with a child, and yes, he has already done like 11 sessions. So I am feeling really well that, and hopefully the mother has also understood the importance of play therapy, and she's also investing the money, and she trusts on the therapy session. She has the trust on me, and that's why I think there is also a bond with the child, and um, I'm continuing doing that. But earlier, like sometimes I couldn't say, I mean, goodbye to the child with I used to work. Maybe like after 7 sessions, suddenly they stop. Or so sometimes, and as you have mentioned, in child-centered play therapy or non-directive play therapy, it's quite challenging. So nowadays, I'm saying if you want to do a session, so you have to do 6 sessions. Otherwise, I don't want to start doing, or maybe I'll just talk. And as I'm an educational psychologist, so maybe I'll just consult with you as a psychologist, but not as a play therapist or something like that. Because if I start doing play therapy, so I need this amount of sessions. Otherwise, I mean, there will be no benefit. So I'm trying to psychoeducate the parents. So I mean, they're understanding the importance, and yes.
So, yeah, I'm curious about, so then how differently might you work with a child if you're working as a play therapist and working with the child as an educational psychologist? How different do those two look?
Yes, I mean, like when I still could remember I mean, when I went for doing the master's in play therapy, that time our course coordinator said that you have to unlearn few things, because like as an educational psychologist, we used to do assessment like IQ tests or ADOS used for screening the autism children or something like that. So they're more like assessment and assessment and assessment. But when I'm working as a play therapist, so it's quite a different thing where I will stay with the child, I follow the child's lead, and I will have trust on the process. But as in our country, as I'm not getting clients sometimes, and most of the cases, if a doctor says, if a psychiatrist refer to me, okay, do an IQ test for the child, or do something like that, do any kind of assessment. So that's, I mean, where I'm getting the client, and where I also inform them that, yes, I'm a play therapist. So if you want to work with me, so you can continue doing that. But as an educational psychologist, I also do like assessment for the children. But I mean, I'm not saying that doing assessment is a positive or negative thing. But nowadays, after doing the play therapy course or after working with as a play therapy, it seems to me I'm not helping the child. Yes, maybe I'm just assessing the child, which will create a leveling for the child. Maybe I believe the child has a lower IQ, but what will happen? And now,
Yeah.
I mean, we also know that this type of assessment, there are a few questions which you might not be able to answer if you have not done it earlier. So yes, that's where, I mean, I also struggle sometimes, and I also try to educate or psychoeducate to the parents that yes, okay, that's fine. You can do the assessment, but this is not the end of the result. I mean, this is work like as a process. So you need to work with your children, the teacher in the school, they need to work with the children, your psychologist. So it's like a more as a holistic work or community work for the children. So then you will see the changes in your child. Otherwise, you will say, okay, I went to that psychologist, but he couldn't do anything. So then I change. So it's like doing shopping, from jumping from one psychologist to another psychologist.
Yeah. And I was thinking about, thinking about the clients that you have been able to see for more than a couple of weeks. Their play, just generally, if there's such a thing, the play of children in Bangladesh in therapy, do you notice, or did you notice a difference with the way your clients played during your training? In your training, you met 5 or 6 UK clients, and I'm guessing London-based clients, because that's where the training was. Is there a difference in the way little people play in Bangladesh and little people play in the UK? And one was pre-COVID, the UK one was pre-COVID, and the your current one is post-COVID.
Okay.
I'm just curious about that.
I will say for children, I mean, for the young children, I will say there is no difference whether they're in UK or whether they're in Bangladesh, or I will say whether in other countries. It seems to me, and what I'm also observing in the play therapy room, that they like to play. They will do role play. They will like to play projective play. They want to play with sand tray, and they like to make lots of different kind of thing. But I will say in our country, those who are like around 11 or 10 or 12, I found, I mean, it's hard for me to play with them because, I mean, when they come to the room, they say, "Oh, so you don't have any computer or you don't have any mobile phone, or can you bring a mobile phone or a computer so we can play together, like Clash of Clans, Free Fire, or this type of, I mean, group game or like fighting game." So those who are in, I would say in 10, 11, and 12, they find it hard. And sometimes they say, "Oh, these are for children. I mean, I'm not children anymore." And they're thinking of themselves as a teenager. And it seems to me, I mean, when in our time, I mean, like teenage time nowadays, the teenage time is coming a little bit earlier, maybe due to the advancement of technology and everything. So when they're when their age is 8, 9, or 10, so it seems to me like they are behaving as an adult, or they're thinking themselves as a teenager. And sometimes it's also true for the parents. So parents come to the room and say, "Oh, I mean, my children will not play with this because these are for young children. So can you change the toys, or can you do this and that?" So then I can understand that where the thought is coming from.
So it might not be from the child, it might be the parent projecting that onto the child, that this is too babyish for you, this is too young for you.
Yes.
And do you bring different stuff in, or do you keep the same stuff and see what happens?
Yes, I mean, gradually what I did, I introduced some board games like Uno and different type of games, which is very common, and children know about that. So it seems to me, so these are very helpful. So those, but as when I discussed with my supervisor, I could understand these are not very like non-directive play therapy tools or something like that, those type of board game. But I would say those are the tools that help me to make the rapport with the children, because those are familiar to them. So that's my initial thing to move forward. So yes, so I bring Uno or different type of board game in my play therapy room, so which they really like to play.
Yeah, to build that therapeutic relationship, the rapport,
Yes.
to have something that's familiar and approachable for the child. And yeah, I think in the play therapy training, there are lots of different, or in the play therapy world, there are different thoughts about to have board games or not to have board games. I'm with you, Mostak. I have Snakes and Ladders. I have a pack of cards. I have a lovely one called Penguin Peril. I don't know if you've ever come across that. It's a sort of iceberg of little hexagons that fit together. A little penguin sits in the middle, and you each take turns. You have a hammer each, and you take turns to knock out a blue hexagon, an ice cube, or a white one until the penguin falls. And I found, and my students love that as well. We found that it's a game that there aren't many. I mean, you make up the rules, a bit like what you did with the Monopoly when you were younger. Of course, there are the rules, but it's the conversations that happen around how I and the client have decided, or the client has decided what they're going to do with this. Some children ignore the penguin isn't even part of it, and they build blocks and patterns with the blue and the white shapes. And for me, it's a very non-directive, child-centered way of playing. The child, through the board game or through the activity that does have some set rules, when those are put to the side, I get a real sense of how the child feels able to be free in creating their own rules. And those rules often, for me, often give light to how the child sees themselves and sees the world.
Yes.
You know, the child who never wants to win a game, or the child who makes the rules that they're all biased towards themselves, that they always win, they always put me down, they always make sure I lose, they always make it impossible for me to get to the top of snakes and ladders. That tells me so much about how the child sees themselves, sees the world, and then we've got something to work with. So yes,
as you have mentioned, it's like the joint attention. So the child is also looking at that object or that board game which he is familiar, and so he is gaining the trust in the play therapy role, and gradually he's also more interested to other object which he didn't explore earlier.
Yeah, so it's like a window into the room. Yeah. As we come towards the end, I wanted to get a sense of what next? How would you like things to be? What's your passion? What's your desire for play, for therapy, and your country?
Yes, I will. I mean, right now, as I have mentioned, it's quite difficult for me to manage the time because, like after the COVID, the time schedule has been changed in most of the workplaces. So nowadays, though the office times are like from 9 to 5, but sometimes you might have a online meeting which is from like 7 to 11 p.m. or 9 p.m. or something like that due to the pressure. And everybody is being accustomed to like Zoom or Google Meet or WhatsApp. So like I will say WhatsApp has also become an office for us. So you have to check every time that you might have missed. Sometimes it's quite difficult to give time properly because when you do therapy, so like you need to have some reflections, you need to have some time that what you will do. So I don't know when, but I'm thinking that maybe I will, rather than doing full-time job, I will do part-time, like maybe 2 days or 3 days job in one organization. So other days I will work as a therapist, and I will also do the training because nowadays, I mean, people are interested to learn. They like to learn about positive parenting or like importance of play, different type of play. So people want to join workshops or webinar or hands-on training. So I'm also interested to run more this type of sessions, and there are opportunities. People from different districts and different organizations, they're also inviting me to do this type of things. But due to the lack of time, I can't do that. But when I will have enough time, so I'll be able to utilize those time. So when they will aware, so definitely I will get more clients and people and children. So that's my plan for the future. And like I have also opened my one organization. It's called like Kite Wellness Hub. Kite from nowadays I'm just enrolling some volunteers from different university students. So we are doing different type of things. But yes, in the long run or in the future, I have planned to run play therapy or this type of training and seeing clients from the organization. It's as you, I mean, right now I'm thinking, as you told me that, okay, I mean, nowadays, how you were thinking the play definition in your adulthood life. So I will say, I mean, that is also the part. Like when I think about the kite page, okay, what I have to post, okay, what I will have to post on Friday. So it seems to me I'm doing brainstorming or this type of thing. So which also make me happy and which also make me playful when I spend time thinking about that.
So dreaming, brainstorming, being creative, daydreaming, thinking
Yes.
about what could be. And it sounds like some of it has already started. You are such an advocate for play and therapy and children already in Bangladesh. And I can see from your website, and we'll post a link to your website, that you've been interviewed on TV, you've put out, you've got recordings of trainings, and you are from Bangladesh, and you were talking to your fellow Bangladeshians. Is that a word?
Yes,
Bangladeshis. Yes, sorry, I
Bangladesh,
didn't know the word for that. Apologies. But the importance of having somebody from the same culture, speaking the same language, thinking about the particular issues of your districts and your areas, the same as I might do in South London, which is different to Philippa up in Stoke-on-Trent. We live in different parts of England, and we
yes.
have different challenges in those two regions, and how important it is to have somebody local, passionate. And I really hope that you find fellow people to work alongside you, and that you will draw other people into the play therapy world, into the importance of play for the children and young people in Bangladesh, and that you enjoy playing with those ideas with yourself, but also with others in the months and years to come.
And I like the quote, and it seems to me, I mean, I always remember that the Landreth word, the trust the process. Things may get worse before it may get better. So I also believe that definitely, if I trust the process, so definitely something better will happen for the people or for the children of Bangladesh.
And Gary Landreth is one of our sort of gurus from
Yes.
Texas. He's still going. The University of Texas, Gary Landreth, who's seen as one of the pioneers of play therapy, along with Virginia Axline. Those would be two of our key people that we listen into. And that phrase, yeah, trust the process, and that it may get worse before it gets better. That I don't know how many times you and I heard that on our training. Trust
Yes,
the process.
and like I will say, I mean, just if I just focus, change the focus from this topic, that nowadays, if we think about the world, I mean, everywhere there are like political issues or other things. So I will say that word also fit here. Trust the process. Positive thing will happen. So it will take time. So yes, I will say that was nowadays I think that word is very powerful, and we can use it in our different part of our lives.
Yeah, thank you so much for that. And thank you for giving up your late evening on what day of the week is it? A Wednesday. It's probably nearer 11 o'clock at night for you. So I hope you sleep well.
Yes.
Thank you for your time. I'm going to go and have my tea and maybe do a little bit of playing in the garden with my plants. So thank you for all that you've offered to me and to our listeners today. And I'll say thank you. And maybe in a few years' time, we'll check in with you again. But for now, thank you for your time, for your thoughts. And that is the end of today's episode of Pondering Play and Therapy.